Hello and welcome to another episode of Getting to Know You. I'm your host, Jen Dawson, and joining me today is Dr. Harper Price. Dr. Price is the Division Chief and Fellowship Director of Pediatric Dermatology at Phoenix Children's Hospital, Clinical Assistant Professor at the University of Arizona College of Medicine, and Assistant Professor of Dermatology at the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science. She's been a part of PEdro from nearly the beginning, having served on PEdro's membership committee in the past, and is currently serving on PEdro's grants committee and best practices task force. Welcome, Dr. Price. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Jen. I'm super happy to be here. Excited to finally see faces again, and hopefully this will be something that will be helpful to our audience. So glad to join you.
Great. Well, thank you. So Dr. Price, if you could just tell me, how did you get into pediatric dermatology?
Yeah, I wish I had a short answer for that. And I, even as a physician, it wasn't something I ever thought I would be. And I sort of fell into medicine and fell into dermatology and then fell into pediatric dermatology through amazing mentorship in my dermatology program with Dr. Andrea Zangline. And I tell you, I thought I wanted to be a proceduralist, and I still am, but I do procedures on children and found a love of research in pediatric dermatology through my fellowship at NYU with Dr. Seth Orlow and Julie Schaefer. So it's just been a wandering, I guess, adventure for me, and I couldn't be happier with where I've ended up. I think I made some excellent choices and had some really influential people in our field help me kind of pave the way.
That's so exciting. I hear from just about everybody in these Getting to Know You interviews that they were inspired by their mentors to go into pediatric dermatology. And I think it's really cool that that's the common thread that all of you have. And it really makes me understand why this group is so collaborative and just so warm and friendly. And it's all because you've all been inspired by these great leaders and mentors in the field.
It's true. I mean, we are a small group, right? And I think dermatology is a large field, although we still always need more dermatologists. Pediatric dermatology is super small. And because of that, we've all come together in amazing ways, and just really reiterates the need for us to continue to mentorship other people, to mentorship, junior faculty coming up, and even medical students that have never heard of pediatric dermatology.
Yeah.
We're really even trying to start from the bottom up of people that to get exposed early. I didn't even know what dermatology was when I was a medical student, and didn't do a planned rotation, and much less pediatric dermatology. So I think we want to broaden our audience and really inspire people, because this is a really, really cool field to be in. I mean, I'm biased, but I have to say the community welcomes you. The meetings are amazing. PEdro's amazing. I think I remember my first experience going to SPD, it is, you feel like you met your family. That's how I would explain it.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's so great to hear, a member of our network say that, because as an employee, I felt the same way. Like, I came on as a contract employee for just a few hours a week to kind of help our executive director, Sheila Rittenberg at the time, get the membership program really going. And it was like 6 months maybe into it. And I was like, this is it. Like, I want to make a career out of working with this network. This is amazing. The people and the energy.
We're happy that you did, because it's amazing to work with you. And it was amazing to work with Sheila. And I think that kickoff of this organization initially, I remember I wasn't a part of the very, very initial conversations, but I was there early on, as you said, and Sheila and some of our key leaders in the SPD. I mean, it was such a bringing together of people that really worked and meshed that kicked this all off. I think it's it takes a village, and the
Yes.
people that we had initially, it's just propagated itself, through the values of PEdro, of working with young investigators, involving, patient support groups, advocacy groups, and our industry partners. Has been this amazing melding of really great relationships in a really professional, patient-forward way, which I think is so cool. I think I've learned so much, even as a mid-career person now. I hate to say that, it makes me feel old, but I feel like I still can take advantage of all the junior things that PEdro has to offer, and I always do. And I have people that are higher up in their careers to mentor me, and I can mentor younger people. And it's been a great opportunity, and SPD really helped foster PEdro. Now PEdro's just taken off immensely, and it's a fun organization to be around. I think even for people that aren't sure they want to do research, no matter where you are in your career, it's a welcoming group. And there's, you don't have to dive right in. You can kind of see what it's about and go from there. So I think it really offers a lot.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I think so too. And I love that, there's something for everybody in the network. Like if you just want to dip your toe in the water and support research, you can. If you want to lead research, you can. If you want to be mentored or if you want to mentor someone else, those are all opportunities there, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Talking about research, can you talk a little bit about your specific area of focus and maybe how you got there?
Yes, I will say I'm a bit about organized chaos because I like a lot of things. I like to do a lot of different types of research on different topics. So one of the big groups that I'm, a part of is the birthmark group. And so I have a big interest in congenital nevi, which are birthmarks or moles from birth that can have some other health consequences. And so I like fields where there really is not a lot known about the condition or the treatments, so that we can help patients and families and our scientific knowledge and innovation to sort of go to the next level. So birthmark group's been one of my main groups that I've participated in CMN projects, vascular anomalies, hemangiomas, and I work with Beth Drolet on the vascular overgrowth study as well. We've been participating in that since the beginning. It's been wonderful. And then the STARK group, so the group that deals with, cutaneous malignancies and reactions to drugs and things like that. I have a really big interest in, patients that are going through transplant, what happens to their skin, graft versus host disease, targeted medications. I mean, there's all these amazing new medications, even for melanoma, that cause different side effects in the skin. And we're really trying to integrate with our pediatric hematology, oncology, transplant colleagues to really broaden the relationship to help these patients, because before dermatologists really weren't involved on the pediatric side. So working with that group has been really, really great. I think rare diseases are one of my favorite things as well. So I do some industry sponsored trials that, with some of the industry partners that PEdro works with. And I also do some investigator initiated things on my own in rare diseases. And then I collaborate with PEdro in a lot of the projects. And that's been really helpful, I would say, for me personally, as well as my career and publication. So I've learned a lot from these mentors in the groups and these group leads.
Wow, Dr. Price, that's a lot. You talk about organized chaos and it seems like a lot. And I know that you are working really diligently in each of those areas. I know that you've got a lot of things going in each of those areas. What would you say from like a mentoring perspective to somebody else who's trying to maybe hone their niche or is, maybe working through some of the same organized chaos that you work through? What advice would you give?
That's a great question. I actually think that the PEdro meetings are a great place to start. I think the PEdro meetings are a place to infiltrate, go up to people. It's very friendly, talk about your interests and jump into projects and see if you like them. The only way it's kind of that failure to launch. If you keep thinking about what you might be interested in, not sure which way to go, talk to somebody. If you get enthused and jazzed by a conversation, with somebody, whether they're, at your same level, and in training and where you're at in your career, or someone that's a mentor, a senior mentor, everyone's friendly. Go up to people, talk to people, pick their brain. Is there something that really stimulates your interest, that gets you going, that gets your brain thinking? Write down your ideas during these meetings. I mean, I'm always jotting down notes from PEdro meetings. So I think PEdro meetings are a great place to start. And I think what's so neat is that as a mid-career person, I can be working on a project and I've got people that are junior coming up that I can help. And then I've got someone amazing like Ilona Frieden that's helping me edit a paper, and I get to work with her in that capacity that I never thought that I would.
Right.
So it's I just think you have to jump in, and it is good to focus your career on a couple of things. I think that's what I was always taught as an academician, and pick your areas of interest and publish on that, and you will become more well known. But be thoughtful about it. I think I like a lot of things, and maybe someone looks at my publication and goes, wow, she's all over the place, but I have some overarching themes, and I've really integrated into the fields that really stimulate my interest and that I'm excited about. If you get into something and it's not for you, you finish the project and you can switch. I think that's what's so neat about PEdro is you can be involved in several different groups. But I would say caution, make sure you execute and finish. Don't sign up for everything and then not show up. And that would be a word of caution is maybe narrow it down. I'm going to pick 2 or 3 things at this meeting I want to get involved in, see what opportunities may come about. Maybe you have an opportunity to be a lead and take that and finish it. And that would be my advice. Yeah,
no, I think that's great advice. Start somewhere and then see it through. And if it's not right, that's fine, move on, but see it through. Yeah. And maybe it is the right thing and your whole world can just blossom and explode out of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where do you see research, I guess, particularly with PEdro now as this fully realized network that is churning out a lot of research? Like, where do you see research in the space within the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think we're more and more connected, right? With COVID and just our meeting, and we're able to meet and do a lot of projects without actually meeting face to face. And I think that's amazing. I think all of our institutional review boards or for non-physician medical ethics boards that we have to report to, that we're becoming more and more collaborative. So we're developing contracts within institutions that make research easier to do. And I think that's going to become more and more the norm, so that we're really facilitating these projects much quicker. We're reaching out to each other and across the country and across the world. I see much more international collaboration probably, and just throughout the country. So we're going to reach out and do multi-site things for rare diseases where we haven't been able to get everybody together and agree before. And I think technology is going to play a huge part in that. I also think with the advancing science of our pharmaceutical partners, so many new drugs for things like epidermolysis bullosa and overgrowth syndromes that I think is really exciting. And I think that, the pharmaceuticals for rare diseases, especially that affect our young children, is going to be super cool and it's exciting. And so I think, new therapies, targeted medications, innovations in the way we do research and how we connect with each other is really going to push pediatric dermatology, I hope, to be, a field that a lot of people want to go into for academics, for science, for research. I think we're kind of known for that now. We are becoming more known. And so, a lot of people here locally in Phoenix, we have a few residency programs. A lot of people look to our institution to come work with us for research because we are so collaborative with PEdro. And I'll say my last comment would be working between specialists. So I've started to collaborate here locally with my my GI group, inflammatory bowel group, and we may indeed throw a PEdro project idea into the loop of collaborating with other groups that work with their GI groups. So I think even outside of our specialty, things that overlap, we're going to be able to work within departments and institutions.
I'm so glad you said that. I think there is so much value in partnering with people outside of the specialty. So many of the diseases they share so many comorbidities, and it just makes sense for everybody to be involved and to collaborate. I want to go back to the pharmaceutical industry topic really quickly. I know that you are involved with industry, and I'm just wondering, how did you get involved in that space?
That's a good question too. I often think about how did I end up here? I think in residency we were exposed to clinical trials, and it was when biologics for psoriasis were really just hitting the road and becoming so prolific, and I kind of understood that it was going on. I wasn't directly involved, but my attendings, mentors would talk about research, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. We had some basic science labs at PCH too, so I always have that in the background. The industry partnership, I think came about because when I joined PCH, Dr. Hansen, our predecessor, did do some research prior with industry. And moving into the rare disease focus, there are so few of us that have expertise that I think it was a mutual reaching out of, you seem to have this interest. Can we talk to you about our company and about our, investigational drug? And it fostered that. And I found that working with industry, we're actually able to get a lot of advocacy for rare diseases and patients and families and a lot of other things. It's a very good give and take. We do the research, we can actually have input on protocol development. how the drug might be put out to market to help our patients' families. It's one thing to develop a great drug. If patients can't afford it or it's not available, it doesn't help us. So I feel that I've joined that group because of the advocacy that I like to do, and I love the science. I think one big thing was having connections within pediatric dermatology. Is a lot of my colleagues knew that I was interested in research, and they would put your name forward, like, we can't do the study, but reach out to Dr. Price because she might. And so a lot of people would email me from different industries and say, Dr. Eichenfield recommended that we reach out to you, or Dr. Aber recommended we reach out to you. And so it was really, I think, an internal collaboration of people knowing I put myself out there. Yes, I do trials, and it happened. So it's cool.
That's so cool. Well, you were describing your relationship with them. I had this lovely image of you being this bridge between industry and patients. And it's just like inspiring, because being like, obviously like a patient myself, sometimes you feel like drugs are just developed in a vacuum and they don't have any idea what we actually really need or can afford. And then there are physician scientists like you who step in and are the voice for the patient, and yet also understand the science and the value in what the industry company is trying to do too. It's just, I'm so excited that we have people like you working on projects with industry like that. It's so cool.
Yeah, and your point's well taken, Jen. I mean, I think a lot of people do have that idea, especially in just general medicine. Oh, my blood pressure medicine's $500. Nobody cares what I have to say. And, and it's, I think for me, forwarding the science, I had to have that alliance with industry, with pharmaceuticals, but it's a fine line, right? I mean, I think that we always have to balance, what we're really in it for. And for me, I've been able to find that balance by being an advocate for the patients and families, making sure that if something's going to come out, at least I put my 2 cents in about this needs to be affordable. We need to have programs to be able to get this to market. And also, what's interesting is these industries collect a lot of data on rare diseases. And just as an inquisitive scientist, I want that data.
Totally.
And they don't share it, and they put the money behind it and get it. And so I think we can learn to collaborate in ways that benefit the science and the patient, and our innovation and our need for further knowledge as scientists. And I think what's really important is that people that are involved in pharma also see patients. Like you said, you have to keep it real. You have to be in touch with what your families want and need. It can't be driven only by us, as investigators. So I always tell people, even if you really love pharmaceuticals, keep seeing patients, because it grounds you. It brings you back to what's really important.
Really well said. Dr. Price, I feel like we could sit here and talk all day. There are so many questions I have for you, but in the interest of time, I will move to my last question.
Okay.
Are you willing to share with our listeners and viewers something personal about you, like a little hobby or a hidden talent, maybe?
Yes, I definitely will. I don't have a lot of hidden talents, but things that I like to do. I love photography, as a lot of, I think, dermatologists do. And it's a hobby. I wish I could. Sometimes I think in my retirement plan that's what I really want to do. And I've been always hesitant to do self-portraits, but I've been inspired by some of the art and photography and the fine art photography I've been seeing. During the pandemic, had a little bit more time just to look to see what's out there. And so I started exploring some self-portraits and some composition work, which is where you kind of put yourself into a different environment in the picture. And I'll tell you, getting in front of the camera instead of being behind it, taking the picture is really interesting. And it's been a fun way to explore and really build confidence in myself. So that's been really fun. I set up little photo shoots in my house, and I just play around and I learn, and I work with Photoshop, and some of it's horrible and some of it's kind of okay. And that's where I'm at.
That sounds amazing. That's awesome. You should send over a portrait that I can include in the interview. I think that
Oh my gosh, I will. The sharing I'm still working on. But But yes, yeah, I do, in all honesty, I do take photos. I mean, I love photography. It's an expensive hobby that I definitely let myself do, and taking pictures in the desert here and of friends and family. I have so that's been awesome for me. And I always tell people it's probably the one thing I do that I don't actively think about work. It's a way for me to really, something else. So yeah, and it's fun.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Price. It was so lovely chatting with you and getting to know you. And thank you for all of your wonderful work and contributions in the field.
Anytime, Jen. Thank you for what you do and doing this. Very enjoyable to chat with you. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully in October.
Yes, me too. Yes. Thank you so much to Dr. Price for joining us for a great getting to know you today. Be sure to follow PEdro in our app. You can check out more interviews for getting to know you along with other educational material in the PEdro app available for Mac and Android devices. You can also like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and you can check us out online at www.pedroresearch.org. We'll see you back here next time for our next episode.